When I moved into apartment 1 for B, the landlord told me it had been empty for years. He held this thin, stretched smile for just a moment too long when I asked why. But the rent was almost suspiciously cheap, and the building was right in the heart of the city. I was so focused on the bargain, so eager to start my new life, I didn't care about the details premeditated abe. I really should have. The first night was a chaotic mess of half-unpacked boxers and the lonely hum of a new refrigerator. Exhausted, I threw a single floor lamp on, its weak bulb casting a warm but lonely glow across the room. It flickered once, twice, and that's when I first saw it. I went to turn off the light, just for a second, to see how dark the room would be. In that split second of blackness, I saw shadows on the wall, but they weren't mine. Next to my own faint silhouette, another shape stood tall and still. A man, it looked like. I flicked the light back on. Nothing. Just my own shadow, obediently mimicking my every move. I tried again. Light off. There it was, that second shadow, perfectly motionless. Even as I waved my arms, testing it, it just stood there, watching. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I told myself it was just a trick of the light, the strange angles of an unfamiliar room. The next morning, the bright sun streaming through the dusty windows made my nighttime fears feel foolish. I was heading out when I ran into an old woman in the hallway, slowly watering a drooping fern. She introduced herself as Mrs. Gable from 1 to B. When I told her I was the new tenant in 1-4B, the color drained from her face. Her hand, holding the little watering can, trembled cuttersabites. She whispered, her voice raspy, "They should've sealed that room up years ago. Just boarded it up and forgot the key." She leaned in closer, her eyes wide with a fear that looked ancient and deeply rooted. She told me about the last person who lived there, a young artist. He was found in his armchair, staring up at the ceiling. The official report said heart attack, but Mrs. Gable swore he'd been driven mad, convinced his own shadow was moving independently on the ceiling above him. I managed a weak, dismissive laugh and told her it was a fascinating story. Primera, Wile kid. Hawaii. But her words echoed in my mind. That night, her warning felt less like a story and more like a prophecy. As I lay in bed, trying to read, I heard it, a soft, rhythmic thudding from directly above me. Footsteps. But that was impossible. The landlord had been very clear. I was on the top floor. There is number 15th floor. The footsteps continued, night after night, a slow, deliberate pacing. Sometimes they sounded heavy, like a man in work boots. Other times, they were light, almost a skittering sound. The noise started to wear on me. It became a constant companion to my sleepless nights. Then, one evening, it changed. The pacing stopped. Instead, I heard a deep, resonant creaking sound from the ceiling, right above my bed. A fine shower of dust rained down onto my face. I watched, paralyzed, as a faint, dark bulge began to form in the plaster. It pulsed, rhythmically, like something breathing. And then, I saw it. The unmistakable impression of a hand, 5 long fingers, pressing down against the plaster from the other side. It pushed, and the ceiling sagged, groaning under the pressure. It wasn't someone walking up there. It was something trying to get through. I had to know what was happening when I was asleep. I couldn't trust my own senses anymore. The next night, I propped my phone on my nightstand, aimed it at my bed, and hit record. I left the lamp on, too afraid of the shadows to sleep in the dark. The next morning, I woke up with a jolt. The first thing I noticed was the silence. No footsteps. The second thing I noticed was that my phone was gone. My heart sank. I searched everywhere under the bed, into seats, in the bathroom, nothing. Defeated, I decided to check the cloud storage on my laptop, praying the video had auto-uploaded before the phone vanished. It had. I clicked play, my hands shaking. The first few hours of footage were just me, tossing and turning. Then, at exactly 3:09 a.m. it happened. The shadows on the wall, the ones cast by the furniture and the boxers, began to shift. They elongated, stretching, not toward the window or the door, but directly toward the bed. They coalesced into dark, indistinct shapes that slithered from the wall, across the floor, and began to crawl silently up onto the mattress, moving over my sleeping body. I watched in horror as these dark forms converged on the nightstand where my phone was recording. The screen went black. Just as I was about to slam my laptop shut, my phone rang. My phone. The one that was missing. The caller ID was blocked. I answered, my voice barely a whisper. Hello. At first, there was only static, a harsh, crackling sound like a broken radio. Then, a voice emerged from the noise, distorted and guttural, as if it was being spoken through water. It said just 4 words. You left the light on. I froze. I had turned the light off when I started searching for the phone. My eyes darted around the room. He was right. The room was dark, and the shadows were gone. Every corner was just empty. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding, a small measure of relief. And then I saw it. The television screen was off, a black mirror reflecting the room back at me. And in that reflection, standing right behind my chair, was the silhouette of a man. It's been 3 nights since the phone call. 3 nights without sleep. I can't close my eyes, not even for a second. Every time I blink, the shadows move. A coat on a chair becomes a hunched figure. The curtains twist into grasping hands. The darkness is alive now, and it's watching me. The whispers started yesterday. They come from everywhere and nowhere at once, from under the floorboards, from inside the walls. They're soft, layered, dozens of voices, all murmuring the same thing, over and over again. My name. They're calling my name. They're telling me to join them. Stay in the dark, they whisper. Stay with us. The light in the hallway just flickered. I think the power is going out. I can't let it go dark. Primera, K-N. If you're watching this, if you ever find yourself looking at an apartment and the number on the door is 1 for B, run. Whatever you do, don't turn off the light.